Welcome to a journey into the depths of the human mind. Imagine a tranquil river, flowing gracefully under the soft light of the morning sun. On the surface, the water is entirely peaceful, reflecting the beauty of the sky, offering nourishment to everything along its banks. It seems completely compliant, shaping itself around stones, yielding to the curves of the earth. But beneath that gentle surface lies a current of unimaginable power, a force capable of carving through solid mountains over time. This is the perfect metaphor for a certain kind of human soul, a personality type that the world often misunderstands. We are speaking of those who possess the profound, intuitive, and deeply empathetic nature often described in psychology as the INFJ. When people encounter someone with this rare emotional makeup, they are immediately drawn to their warmth. They see a person who is exceptionally gentle, infinitely patient, and deeply understanding. Because this individual prioritizes harmony and despises unnecessary conflict, they will often go to great lengths to ensure that everyone around them feels comfortable and heard. They do not seek to dominate conversations, nor do they try to impose their will upon the world. Instead, they lead with empathy, listening with an open heart, and cooperating with a spirit of genuine kindness. However, this beautiful, peaceful nature is very often misinterpreted by those who view the world through a lens of power and control. Some people look at this gentle soul and see an opportunity. They assume that because this person is kind, they must also be weak. They believe that because this person seeks harmony, they will simply surrender their own needs to keep the peace. They expect obedience, compliance, and quiet agreement. But this is one of the greatest miscalculations a human being can make. Beneath the calm and accommodating exterior of this intuitive soul lies a fortress of deeply rooted values, a sharp and brilliant intuition, and a quiet resilience that has survived countless emotional winters. Today, we will explore exactly what happens when someone makes the critical error of trying to control, manipulate, or bend this beautiful but unyielding spirit. To understand the dynamic of control, we must first look at the motivations of the person attempting to exert it. People who try to manipulate or dominate an empathetic individual usually do so because they are operating from a place of emotional profound insecurity or a deeply flawed understanding of human relationships. They scan their environment looking for individuals who appear agreeable. When they find this gentle, intuitive soul, they mistake their profound kindness for a willingness to be subjugated. They assume this person will endlessly tolerate pressure, absorbing demands, and adjusting their entire personality simply to avoid an argument. The controller believes that through a calculated mixture of guilt, subtle emotional manipulation, or overbearing persuasion, they can turn this empathetic person into a compliant shadow. What the controller fails to realize is that this intuitive person is not governed by the changing winds of social pressure or the loud demands of aggressive individuals. They are governed by an internal compass that is forged in the fires of deep reflection and unwavering authenticity. You might compare this spirit to a nation that has endured decades of historical hardship, perhaps surviving harsh colonial winters and devastating conflicts, only to quietly rebuild itself into a shining miracle of resilience. Such a spirit knows what it means to suffer, knows the value of profound peace, and absolutely refuses to surrender its sovereignty ever again. The intuitive soul has learned over time that not everyone who smiles is a friend, and not everyone who asks for help has good intentions. They have learned that manipulation often wears the beautiful mask of charm, persuasion, or even fragile victimhood. Therefore, while they may appear soft on the outside, their internal borders are heavily guarded. When someone attempts to invade that sacred inner space, they do not find a helpless victim. They find a sovereign spirit preparing to defend its territory. The reactions will not be loud or explosive. They will be subtle, strategic, entirely silent, and absolutely devastating to the person trying to take control. The very first thing that happens when someone tries to control this rare and intuitive soul is the sudden, silent awakening of their internal alarm system. This is not a loud, dramatic siren that causes panic. Rather, it is a profound, instinctual awareness that immediately sharpens the mind, like a solitary bell ringing in the quiet halls of an ancient temple. The empathetic person possesses an almost supernatural ability to sense emotional tension and hidden motives long before a single threatening word is spoken. Their intuition operates quietly in the background of every interaction, constantly scanning the emotional atmosphere. When someone begins to cross a hidden boundary, this intuition snaps into absolute focus. The moment this alarm is triggered, the person's entire perception of reality shifts. They transition from a state of relaxed warmth into a state of highly calibrated observation. They begin noticing microscopic details that others would completely ignore. They listen intensely to the subtle shifts in the tone of a voice. They watch the micro-expressions on a face. They observe the slightest inconsistencies in body language, noting the exact moments when a person's spoken words fail to align with their internal energy. Even the most carefully disguised hints of pressure, the small doses of unearned flattery, or the quiet, passive-aggressive criticisms instantly become blazing signals of danger. The tragic irony for the controlling person is that they usually have no idea this internal alarm has gone off. They believe their manipulation is working perfectly. They do not realize that the intuitive soul has already decoded their hidden agenda. The empathetic person feels a sudden, chilling shift within their own heart. The warmth they previously offered begins to cool. Their mind becomes razor-sharp and intensely alert. They stop feeling emotionally relaxed and begin to feel deeply cautious, measured, and guarded. While they may still offer a polite smile and maintain a calm posture, internally, they are already mapping out the psychological battlefield and preparing their defensive strategy. As this deep period of withdrawal continues, the quietness of the intuitive soul becomes deeply pronounced. They may take significantly longer to respond to text messages. They gracefully decline invitations to social events that they know will drain their energy. They master the art of being physically present but emotionally distant in necessary conversations. For the controlling individual, this stage is intensely frustrating. Manipulators thrive on reactions. They want anger, they want tears, or they want desperate apologies. When they receive nothing but polite, echoing silence, they begin to feel their artificial power slipping through their fingers. But for the intuitive person, this silence is not a weapon of punishment. It is a tool of profound reclamation. It is the method by which they reclaim their personal power and restore their emotional clarity. In the depths of this solitude, they engage in a rigorous internal dialogue. They ask themselves the most important questions a human being can ask. They wonder, am I truly acting out of my own free will right now, or am I being quietly forced? Does this relationship still provide a safe harbor for my soul, or has it become a prison? Do I genuinely trust the intentions of this person standing before me? These questions are not asked lightly. They are the building blocks of a new boundary. Through this deep introspection, the intuitive person reconnects with their core identity. Control is terrifying because it fundamentally attempts to disconnect a person from their own soul. This quiet period of withdrawal serves as the bridge back to themselves. It is a testament to an incredible internal strength, a quiet resilience that mirrors the silent, steady growth of a forest after a devastating fire. By the time this introspective phase concludes, the empathetic person is fundamentally changed. They are no longer emotionally accessible to the manipulator. The relationship has irreversibly shifted, and the stage is perfectly set for the implementation of absolute, unbreakable boundaries. Once the period of quiet reflection is complete, the intuitive soul transitions into the phase of silent resistance. This is perhaps the most elegant and baffling defense mechanism in the realm of human psychology. When faced with aggression or control, most people respond with equal aggression, engaging in loud arguments, bitter confrontations, and exhausting dramatic displays. The intuitive person rejects this entirely. They know that arguing with a manipulator is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to suffer. Instead, their resistance is invisible, calm, and executed with a steady, terrifying determination. The changes begin in the smallest, almost imperceptible ways. The gentle soul simply stops providing the automatic agreements they once freely gave. They no longer offer the lengthy, polite explanations that the controller previously used to twist their words. They begin to establish a soft but impenetrable barrier, When asked to do something that violates their comfort, they reply with a simple, pleasant, and absolutely firm refusal. They say no without a single hint of anger in their voice, yet the word carries the weight of a heavy iron door closing shut. The controller suddenly finds that their usual tools of guilt and subtle intimidation simply bounce off this new, calm demeanor. The intuitive person possesses a profound understanding of emotional dynamics. They can clearly see the desperate, insecure mechanisms operating behind the controller's demands. Because they understand the game, they refuse to play it. They do not feed the drama. They do not provide the emotional friction the manipulator desperately craves. They just slowly and politely become entirely unavailable for exploitation. They gracefully step out of the way, allowing the controller to stumble over their own aggressive momentum. This silent resistance leaves the manipulator profoundly confused and entirely powerless. They reach out to grab the strings they used to pull, only to find that the strings have been quietly severed in the dark. As the silent resistance solidifies, something deeply profound occurs within the core of the intuitive person. Their internal values, their absolute sense of right and wrong, lock into place with the unyielding strength of titanium. These gentle souls are fundamentally guided by a strong internal moral compass. In times of peace, this compass allows them to be incredibly flexible, forgiving, and accommodating to the quirks and flaws of others. They are naturally inclined to give people the benefit of the doubt, always hoping to see the best in humanity. But the moment they confirm that a person is actively attempting to subjugate them, that flexibility instantly evaporates. They realize that compromising with a controller is not an act of peace, it is an act of self-betrayal. And self-betrayal is the one thing this deeply authentic spirit cannot and will not tolerate. They know exactly who they are, and they refuse to contort their beautiful soul simply to make a manipulator feel powerful. This shift in their psychological posture is awe-inspiring. They stop second-guessing their own instincts. They banish the lingering voices of self-doubt. They stand firmly upon the foundation of their own truth, setting boundaries with absolute clarity and zero hesitation. Their inner voice, which is usually a gentle whisper, transforms into a roaring command that drowns out any external pressure. They choose actions that align perfectly with their highest values, regardless of how displeased the controlling person becomes. They guard their authenticity fiercely, knowing it is the most precious treasure they possess. The controlling person is usually utterly shocked by this manifestation of iron willpower. They mistook the intuitive person's peaceful nature for a lack of conviction. They expected the gentle soul to bend under the weight of expectations. Instead, they find themselves standing before a mountain that refuses to move. The quiet confidence of the empathetic person becomes radiating and undeniable. At this stage, the controller has lost all meaningful influence, and the power dynamic is forever broken. The psychological defense reaches its most critical and poignant phase when the intuitive person makes the conscious decision to completely sever emotional access. This is a profound and intensely private action. On the outside, the empathetic person may still engage in polite conversation. They might still smile kindly, wish the controller a good morning, and maintain a facade of total professional or social normalcy. But behind their eyes, the emotional lights have been permanently turned off. The intuitive soul possesses a rich, complex, and breathtakingly deep inner world. It is a sacred sanctuary of hopes, fears, profound thoughts, and tender vulnerabilities. Access to this world is a privilege, entirely based on mutual trust, emotional safety, and profound respect. When a manipulator demonstrates that they cannot be trusted with this sacred access, the intuitive person quietly but firmly revokes the privilege. The process happens gradually, almost imperceptibly. The gentle soul stops sharing the intricate details of their day. They cease offering their deep philosophical thoughts. They no longer reveal their fears or their dreams. Their responses become flawlessly polite, yet entirely devoid of personal substance. They become emotionally neutral, offering nothing that the controller can use as ammunition. The warmth that once naturally flowed from them is systematically withdrawn. The manipulator begins to feel a profound chill in the air, a vast, echoing distance between themselves and the person they thought they possessed. They can feel the loss, but because the intuitive person remains superficially polite, the controller has absolutely nothing tangible to complain about. The empathetic soul does this not out of a desire for petty revenge, but out of an absolute necessity for self-preservation. By starving the manipulator of emotional data, they protect their heart from further bruising. They detach their own emotional well-being from the chaotic moods of the controller. They no longer feel responsible for managing the other person's anger or sadness. The invisible cord of emotional attachment is cleanly cut, and the intuitive person is finally entirely free within their own mind. There comes a moment, however, when even the severing of emotional access is not enough. If the controlling person continues their relentless pursuit, refusing to respect the boundaries and continuing to project their toxic demands, the intuitive soul will execute their final, most absolute response. They will completely remove themselves from the relationship, permanently and without looking back. In psychological terms, this is often referred to as the ultimate door slam, but it is rarely a dramatic event. There are no screaming matches in the rain. There is no throwing of objects, no dramatic final letters, and no theatrical farewells. The departure is as quiet as a shadow slipping into the night. It is an exit executed with a chilling, absolute certainty. By the time the intuitive person physically or socially walks away, they have already mourned the loss of the relationship entirely within the silent corridors of their own mind. They have spent weeks, perhaps months, processing the grief, analyzing the failure, and accepting the reality. Therefore, when the final moment arrives, there is no hesitation left in their heart. They do not second-guess the decision because it was made with absolute clarity and a heavy heart. They detach their presence just as they detach their emotions. To stay would mean the total erosion of their own identity, a sacrifice they are fundamentally unwilling to make. The controlling individual is almost always caught completely off guard by this sudden absence. They operated under the arrogant delusion that the empathetic person would always forgive, always adjust, and always remain conveniently accessible. They severely underestimated the absolute priority the intuitive soul places on mutual respect and emotional safety. Once that safety is proven to be irrevocably destroyed, the gentle person simply vanishes from the controller's life. The door closes, the locks engage, and the path behind them is erased. This profound journey of the intuitive soul teaches us a magnificent lesson about the true nature of strength. The world often wrongly associates power with volume, aggression, and the ability to dominate others. But the empathetic person proves that true, unbreakable power resides in deep self-awareness, unshakable values, and the courage to protect one's own peace at all costs. When faced with the dark forces of manipulation, they do not compromise their beautiful nature by becoming monsters themselves. Instead, they use their profound emotional intelligence to quietly dismantle the controller's influence. Their intuition serves as a vigilant guardian. Their withdrawal provides strategic clarity, their silent resistance acts as a shield, and their ultimate departure is a breathtaking declaration of absolute independence. They walk away not because they lack love for humanity, but because they possess a profound, fierce love for their own soul. They return to their peaceful inner sanctuaries, completely rebuilding their energy and choosing to surround themselves only with those who offer genuine respect, absolute honesty, and tender emotional safety. If you find yourself resonating with this quiet strength, if you are one of these rare, intuitive protectors of harmony, you must understand that your gentle nature is not a liability. It is your greatest weapon. Your ability to see the hidden truths of the human heart, to navigate the complexities of emotion, and to walk away from toxicity without making a sound, is nothing short of a superpower. May you always trust the brilliant light of your intuition. May you fiercely protect the beautiful, sacred garden of your inner world. And may you always remember that true peace is found not in making others comfortable at your own expense, but in standing gracefully and immovably within your own profound truth. Thank you for walking this deep emotional journey with us today. May your days be filled with genuine connections, profound respect, and an abundance of peaceful grace.